Crazy sports chaos and playoff palooza continues, PB. We've had playoffs the last two nights in the CFP, and now we get into the NFL. Real quick, let's talk about the CFP. So Thursday night was an epic game. You and I and G Money were going back and forth in the text. And overall, 8 lead changes in that game, 4 in the fourth quarter. One of the best games I've seen in a long, long time. Definitely in the CFP. I mean, there's not been a lot of great games in the CFP. Maybe it goes back to the very first one when Ohio State won with Zeke Elliott. That was a good game. But other than that, there's never been a game I thought that was this back and forth before, right? You agree?
I agree. I was tired. I mean, it's a weeknight. I was tired and I could not fall asleep because I was so intrigued by the game. I just stayed up. It didn't end till like 11:15 or something like that. And
No, after 11:30. That's the one thing that they
one
got to
th-
fix. The commercials take too much time. Even 4 hours for a regulation game is way too. I mean, I know it kicked off around 7:40, so a little under 4 hours, but that's way too long for a
yeah,
regulation game. Do you agree?
college football is way too, the reviews take too long. The time, the time, first down, clock stops, all this other stuff. They need to align with the NFL in terms of the rules, I think, and get
Okay, the
this
clock stopped because they reset it the minute. I mean, they start it once the ball's reset, so that's okay. That's not a big deal. It's the TV timeouts during these things that really hurt you. And sitting, and you and I sat in the Army Navy game. We saw those TV timeouts. They can be painful in the stadium. Never mind at home, right? So you know what I'm
right.
talking about. So they got to do something about that. But the game was great. You know what stood out for me was. Man, those two Miami running backs are beasts, right? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Mark, I'm trying to blank on his name right now. Becker's at it, right? The number 5. That
Yeah.
kid's unbelievable. And then Brown, even so, I mean, they just drag players around the field that night. And by the way, Miami did it without really a great effort from the defense. And when I say a great effort, Mesidor and Bain had 0 sacks and really probably had 0 pressures in that game, and they still showed up big time. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, if they do that against Indiana, it might be a different outcome, but yeah.
Well, but you know what? I'll talk about this in a moment. But Indiana wants to run the ball. They've right now in the playoffs, they've run the ball like 90 something times versus like 30 something passes. So that's okay. If they can, if Miami can stop the run, then they get to feast a little bit on Mendoza. So they got to stop the run in that game for sure. And by the way, I don't want to hear about the pass interference in the end, right? Yes, there was contact. Yeah, he grabbed him. The offensive player initiated that contact. He put his hand out first. Until colleges and pros, same thing, start calling that initial push, it's going to be a judgment call every time. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. PI is one of the most difficult things to call. And I find that, and I like it when they let the players play a little bit more when the playoffs come around and they're not ticky-tack. That's what bothers me. Ticky-tack bothers me. And also setting tone. If you set the tone as a rep to say, we're not going to call this, you don't call it the whole game. You don't all of a sudden decide to on a final drive when it's important. Oh, I'm going to call it this time. Like, no, that doesn't work for
The
me.
irony of all that was most of the game, Miami was getting the bad calls, including the 2 targetings. One guy targets for Jesus Christ, the other team, and he doesn't get thrown out, Ole Miss. And then later on, the Miami guy targets, right, which was to me was the guy's going down. It's a hard one as a former DB, and he gets thrown out for that. You know what? It should have been a toss up. Neither one should have been thrown out, in my opinion, at the end of the day. So Miami getting the benefit of the doubt on the last play. Good for them. It was a makeup call, I think, a makeup non-call. Last night game, much different story. I mean, the first play of the game, a pick 6. Dante Moore played himself out of the number 1 draft pick by far, maybe even out of the first round, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I don't think he's going to be. I mean, let's see what happens in the combine, but he doesn't look like an NFL ready quarterback to me.
He can come out. He can come back, right? So that's his saving grace. I would strongly recommend him to come back. Unlike Felix Trinidad, who apparently will not come back because of the NCAA, not because Felix he wants to come back, but they won't let him come back for year 6, which kind of stinks. He came from Division II. He played during COVID. He had an injury season when he was at Ferris State. That kind of stinks. But
Well, so
Indiana,
Chambliss is going to go into the draft.
he may have to
Oh, okay. Because
because
I think he
because they
want.
won't let him play his 6th year.
Oh, he wanted to come back though,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, he was signed to come back. He was going to come
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
So that's interesting. IU, that was a total dismantling. As much as I don't want to have to pick them, but we'll do that next week. But I may have to. But so that's my last thoughts. Anything else you want to add on that?
No, no. Looking forward to the national championship right down here in my backyard. I was looking online for tickets. Like the cheapest, like 300 level end zone nosebleed seats were $4 grand. It's like Super Bowl, more than Super Bowl prices. I'm like, what the heck? It's crazy.
I mean, that's the Dolphins' home stadium. As a season ticket holder, you should have some priority or some type of better pricing as a season ticket holder for the Dolphins, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I don't know if I did get a pre-sale option or something back at the
No,
beginning of the
no, no.
year and didn't exercise it. I can't remember. I may have.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
know. Yeah.
So that may have happened.
Yeah, it may have happened.
Uh,
I might have missed it.
All right. Let's get to the NFL. Speaking of the Dolphins, they finally smartened up. They fired McDaniel during the midweek. PB, here's what I found very interesting. Harbaugh gets fired Sunday night. Supposedly Monday morning, Shefty's reporting that 7 teams have already reached out to Harbaugh. At that point in time, 7 teams were fired, including him from the Ravens. So that means there was a team that hadn't even fired their coach yet that's reaching out. Do you put 2 and 2 together and get 4 in this case? Meaning Ross had already reached out to his agent?
I do agree with that. And there was already talk down here of Harbaugh coming to the Dolphins before McDaniel was fired. So yeah. So yes, 100% they had that all planned out. And I think it would be a good landing spot for him, actually. I think he can do something with this team. And, as a season ticket holder and looking at value for my tickets and obviously I don't care about the Dolphins winning necessarily, but I do care about the ability to sell my tickets so that I can put visiting fans in the stadium, maybe. Um, I want to be able to do that and make a little bit of money. So I hope that's what happens.
Let's talk about that as far as his landing place, because you look at the openings. Giants, I don't want to go to the Giants if I'm him. They're not ready to win this year. Titans, they're not ready to win for the next 5 years, maybe. Cards, not ready to win. Browns, maybe. Well, who knows? Depends on the quarterback situation. Falcons, yes, maybe, potentially, but only to win the division. I don't think they win any playoff games. Raiders, no way in hell. So, yeah, the Dolphins, they were what, 8-9?
Yeah, they were 8-9 and they started 1-6 or something like that. So they
So
down the
there's the
stretch.
landing spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at the core. I mean, the quarterback is the question. Is Ewers going to take the job from Tua? Are they going to draft a quarterback? But I think they have enough of a defense in place. You got Achan, who's probably a top 5 running back in the league. You still got Wall. I don't know if Hill's coming back or not, but a few pieces here and there, and you could easily have a team that can make the playoffs and maybe contend, especially with the Harbaugh coaching.
Speaking of that, right? Does Harbaugh and Lamar really have a good relationship or not? That's been a lot of talk for the last 6 weeks. But Baltimore's going to think about Lamar's contract, right? Could they make a deal? If they really have a relationship, could they make a deal with the Dolphins, right? And Lamar goes down there, he comes back to his home state at the end of the day. Wow, what a story that would be, right?
That would shake things up tremendously.
By the way, you know who would want to stay if Lamar came? Tyreek Hill. He stays if Lamar comes. I think they have a relationship off the field.
Yeah. Well, the only thing with Tyreek Hill though was that a career-ending injury? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's his return going to look like? What kind of effect is he going to
Yeah.
have? How many years is he left in the tank? He's a wide receiver. He's going to be 31, I think, entering next year. You know, we'll see.
By the way, we had a little back and forth about who would have been fired if they lost the game, Harbaugh or Tomlin. I don't think Tomlin gets fired if he loses the game. The guy's never had a losing season. So how can you cut him? Meanwhile, a couple stats about Harbaugh. Yes, he has 193 wins. Yes, that's 12th all time, 8th all time at one team. And he's only had 3 losing seasons. But over the last 5 seasons, his team has blown leads in the last 5 minutes 16 times. You know who the second place team is to that number? The Cardinals.
The Cardinals. Oh, that's right.
So, with 11. So
but let me ask you this then.
Flies in the ointment with our Harbaugh, right? At the end of the day, who knows?
Let me ask you this though, right? I agree with you. I mean, Tomlin's still Tomlin. Luke makes that field goal and the Steelers lose. Does that mean Tomlin gets fired or not fired? Maybe not, right? But if Luke makes that field goal, does Harbaugh still have his job?
If they win one game in the playoffs.
And they would have to go ahead and win a game and get into the divisional round, and you think that would have saved his job? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I think
you don't think they were like looking, this isn't this kind of team. This isn't working with him. We're firing him no matter what.
Oh, we just mentioned Lamar. That's the wild card. We really don't know what that relationship is. I'm sure Bichetti, or however his name is, the coach, the owner of the Ravens, is talking to Lamar. You have to. You owe the guy $75 million, right? Coming out of your wallet. You got to talk to that guy. So did Lamar have some influence? His post-game interview was very cryptic, right? So that's the wild card. Maybe it was, Lamar's been talking to the owner for a few weeks now, and maybe that's the thing. So we don't know. Will it ever come out? Maybe not. Hopefully, we do know at some point in time before the season starts next year. We'll find out. But that's the wild card: is where was the Lamar Harbaugh relationship, and where was the owner on either side of the fence?
Right.
So,
Right.
all right, let's get into picking some games. Right. So we got two today. The Rams and the Panthers, Packers and Bears. We'll start Rams and Panthers. By the way, Rams are going to the Panthers as a 10.5-point road favorite in the playoffs. What do you think?
Yeah, that's crazy for NFL football. And Carolina already beat the Rams earlier in the year, right? So it's not like this is like hey, we're just going to walk in there and win with our eyes closed type of situation. And Carolina's been surprisingly plays well against good teams. I feel like they
Yes.
go up and down, but I feel like they play crappy against bad teams and they really step up against good teams, a la, beating Dallas as an example. I know Dallas isn't even in the playoffs, but at the time,
Yep.
that was an important game for Dallas, and Dallas was looking pretty good, and Carolina beat them. Yep. So you can't just go into this saying, oh, we're just thinking ahead to the divisional round. Like, McVay needs to be focused on this game and figure out a way to probably stop the passing game. I think the Rams against the run, I think, is pretty good. You're not talking about guys, in my opinion, like Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. They're not your, James Cook and Derrick Henrys and, of the world necessarily. But the passing game, that's what I'm concerned about. Like, if you let Bryce Young run around a little bit, throw the ball downfield, we know Ted McMillan's really stepping up as a receiver. They can keep this game close. Like, a 10.5 to me on the road favorite is tough. Like, if I had to pick this game against, I don't want to pick the game against the spread, but if I had to, I might be leaning Panthers a little bit in this game. But as far as straight up winner, I think the Rams, this is probably the easiest game to pick on the weekend. I'm going to go with the Rams.
I don't know the weather. Obviously a West Coast team, a domed West Coast stadium at that, right? Coming to the East Coast. Carolina can be sometimes tricky weather-wise in the winter. You could get a great day, you get a horrible day. I'm not sure what it is. So that could be a factor depending on the weather. Devontae Adams comes back for the Rams. That's huge. He's been the best red zone target in the NFL this year. One of those stats, though, I heard this morning, Rams were giving up 13 points a game through weeks 12. All of a sudden, since that week 12 on, they're giving up almost 30 points a game. So their defense has become suspect. Can the Panthers exploit that? I honestly don't think so. I've got the Rams. I think they easily win. I think they may even cover at that 10.5, meaning when they win by 11.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to pick against the spread. I think it's too many points,
No.
but, we're just picking straight up. I think it's Rams easy. And G-Money has the Rams as well.
All right, next one, Packers Bears. I've been all morning long, I've been debating on which way I'm going to go on this one. Jordan Love returns. He hasn't played, I think, so what week 16, correct?
Yeah.
Because he had a concussion.
Yeah.
By the way, this is the only road game I don't think the weather matters to either team because they're both from the north, right? They play in snow, they play in ice, so home team does not matter in this game. That's going to be a big deal. The Bears' running game is unbelievable. They run for 144 yards a game. Ever since Micah went down, Packers suddenly can't play defense anymore, right? So that's a concern. What do you think happens?
Yeah. That little combination of Swift and Monangai is pretty cool. You got guys too stepping up, like rookies like Luther Burden. He's been showing up in games recently. And Calvin's been balling too. So I like what Chicago's doing. I like Ben Johnson running that system. And I have a lot of confidence in the Bears. This is a tough game to pick, though. The Packers always seem to do this. There was a year, maybe 2 years ago, I think it was, when Green Bay was a 7, and they played Dallas, that was the 2, in Dallas, and they smoked them.
Yeah.
So, I think it's very easily the Packers can go in and win this game, but they're also division rivals, which makes it a little bit more of an intrigue. If I had to pick one game this weekend that I think could go into overtime, this would be the game. Like
Point.
this
Good pick.
could be
Yeah,
the
that's a
game,
good. Yeah, I
you
agree with you
know.
on that.
So, but at the end of the day, I think the Packers just have more. I don't know. I just feel like they have a more tradition of winning this type of game. That's all. I'm going to go Packers in this one. It's going to be close. Um, but yeah,
Well,
and Dream
and
Money
you
has
you hit the nail on the head a minute ago when you said that game a couple of years ago when they went into Dallas as a 17, Dallas as a number 2, and they absolutely throttled Dallas. And who was the quarterback for Green Bay that day?
Jordan Love,
Jordan Love. And guess who hasn't played in a playoff game in his life yet?
Caleb Williams.
There you go. So that's when I scratched Bears and I circled Packers on my scorecard. So, and
Yeah.
by the way, Bears do get Rome Odunze back, so that's a big factor for them. But I still think the Packers have enough to win that game. So that's the Saturday games. Let's go into the Sunday
And
game. Oh, by
G
the way,
Money
G
has
Money
that too, by the way. So we both have, we all have, all three of us have both
Packers. Okay.
Packers. Yep.
All
And
right.
yep.
The other game to me, which is the toughest game of these playoffs, besides the one we just talked about, Bills Jaguars. You got Josh Allen with his best road to the playoffs because he doesn't have to face Lamar. He doesn't have to face Patrick Mahomes. This is his best chance, but this is also his worst team he's playing for during that run. Meanwhile, the Jags have been steamrolling lately. Trevor Lawrence has finally proven to be, sunshine, that guy. And a little irony here, Paul. The Jags started playing since one thing happened this year. Travis Hunter went on the IR. They did not have to deal with the whole Travis wants to play offense, Travis wants to play defense. They got rid of that. They started playing Jaguar football, and I believe that's a turning point in the season for them. It was when Travis Hunter went on IR. They got rid of the distractions. So I'm
Yeah.
telling you right now, I'm going Sunshine. I really was
Okay.
having a hard time with this. I'm going Sunshine.
All right. And G Money's going with the Jags as well. Here's the way I look at this game. Josh Allen. Josh Allen's in the playoffs. Josh Allen can put a cape on when he needs to put a cape on. He can carry that team on its back.
Yep.
We've seen that happen.
Yep.
Josh Allen is also looking at a window of opportunity where he's in a playoff without Joe Burrow, without Patrick
And Joe
Mahomes.
Burrow, too. Yeah, forgot about him. Yep.
Right? No Patrick Mahomes. No, because Cincinnati's kind of been a little bit of a nemesis for them too at
Yep.
points.
Good
And
point.
no Lamar Jackson, right? Now, granted, you have some new faces like Drake May, and that could, cause things to be a little bit different. But I think Josh Allen's saying, this is our chance, guys. This is our chance to get into the Super Bowl this year, if any
Great.
other year. And I don't think they're going to let playing on the road impact that. Like, give me Josh Allen in nice weather down in Florida and all day long. And for the same reason I took Green Bay is the reason why I'm taking Buffalo. I feel like they just have that experience, if you will, or that tradition of since they've had Josh Allen, of winning in the playoffs, in the early rounds in the playoffs. And I just think Buffalo wins this game. So I wish their defense was decent. If they had at least a decent defense, I would pick Buffalo all day long. I am concerned about this turning into a shootout. Jacksonville could easily put up 31 in this game, but I think Buffalo could put up 35. So
Wild card in the game. I think if Travis Etienne goes off,
he could go off.
Can he do like when he was at Clemson, then this game is definitely the Jags game. And by the way, Trevor has never played well since his first playoff game when he upset the Chargers, way back, I think his rookie year or second year in. This is where he shows people, I think. So we'll see. That's why I'm taking Jags, but you're right. This is Josh Allen's game to lose.
Yeah. 31 for Buffalo.
Yeah. All right, let's go San Fran, Philadelphia. I'm sorry. So San Fran has to come to the East Coast. Philadelphia, the weather's going to be so-so. Lane Johnson is questionable for the Eagles. That's a huge one. Trent Williams is as well, but they say he's been practicing, so he should play this week. I'm still not sure that the San Fran 49ers are ready to step up. I know they've been playing well. I know everybody thinks they're doing awesome. Purdy's been playing awesome for the last 6-7 weeks. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think this comes down to Saquon and CMC. I think whoever can run the ball more effectively and efficiently and get the ball in that hands of that player. And I know that Purdy has a better ability to get the ball in the hands of CMC because CMC will catch 7 or 8 balls a game. I don't think Saquon's catching maybe 2 or 3 balls in the game. So get more touches to CMC. just get that Philadelphia defense on their heels, and you got a really good shot at this game. That's what they got. They got to get the defense on their heels because that's their strength right now with the Eagles. The Eagles' offense is, in my opinion, pretty deplorable, actually. So I am not worried about Philly running up the score here. I think this is going to be like a 27-20 type of game. And I'm taking the Niners. I think the Niners can go on the road. I think they're the better team, better coach for sure, and win this game.
He'd be a better coach. I don't think they're a better team. There's too many injuries on that 49ers roster. There's too many question marks. Their DBs are horrible. And the wild card to me, right? You said CMC. It's Jalen Hurts. They haven't run him that much this year. I think this is a game where Jalen Hurts maybe goes for 100 yards running the ball, and he just runs down their throat at the end of the day. And by the way, CMC, yes, he'll catch the balls. He's not going to run the ball. The strength of Philadelphia's defense is their front seven. Their defensive backs are so-so. And yes, if they get a shootout, they could win the game. But who is Purdy going to throw to? Pearsall may not play. Brandon Ayuk is someplace, in the desert on a, sabbatical or whatever. So I don't know if they have anybody to catch the ball. Yes, they got George Kittle. He's still a little banged up. But at the end of the day, I think the front seven of Philadelphia pressures Purdy too much. They stuffed CMC. Philadelphia holds on. And by the way, I don't see the game in the 20s. I see this maybe like 19-13.
All right. Okay. So you got the Eagles. Money has the Eagles as well. Yeah. I have just like I picked against you in the Jags-Bills game, I'm picking against you here with the Niners as well. So here's two in a row where you guys are different than me.
Yeah. G Money as well. All right. Let's go to Foxborough. Chargers come west, and another dome stadium coming to the East Coast. This time it's a night game when the weather will start to get a little colder. It's going to be mild in Foxborough in the daytime, but by 8 p.m., that temperature is coming down. I think it's going to be in the 20s maybe or high 20s. So my concern for the Chargers is how can you play in that weather? Now, it's supposed to rain during the day. I think the rain stops Sunday night. That would have been a huge factor in the cold, freezing rain. So it's going to stop raining, but no way in hell the Patriots lose this game. This is no way in hell.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the wild card slate, I think the Rams was probably over the Panthers was one of the easiest picks, and then it was this one. Like the Patriots beating the Chargers and the Rams beating the Panthers, to me, the two easiest games to pick this weekend. G-Man is the pass. I have the pass for all the reasons that you just said. They are a complete football team. They play in all three phases. Drake May is Drake May, and hey, I think this team steamrolls them.
You know what the biggest shocker about this game is? You remember in the Brady days, this game would have been what night and what time? Saturday night at 8 o'clock.
Oh, right? Saturday. Yeah.
This would have been the Saturday night game when Brady was playing. I had it penciled in. They made the playoffs were determined before they said with the studio where the games were and stuff. I'm like, Pastor playing Saturday night. That's a shock to me. They're not playing Saturday night,
well,
right?
Right, and it's the same thing. Kyle Brandt always says this on Good Morning Football. It's like Saturday 4 o'clock is always the Texans. It's always the Texans, and this year they get the Monday night game against Pittsburgh.
Let's play that game, the Monday night game. Unfortunately, the only game on Monday is going to be this game, and I got Houston all day long.
Yeah, this would be the next easiest one to pick. Actually, this probably is even easier to pick than the Rams game. It's Houston. I mean, Pittsburgh, crawled into the playoffs. Rodgers is, I think, past his time, even though he's shown some stuff, but Houston's going to pressure the heck out of him, and he's not even going to know. He doesn't have the same mobility. He's done. He's going to get out. He has to get the ball out of his hands in less than 2 seconds, maybe 2.2 seconds or something, every single play. They're not going to be able to throw the ball downfield, which means they can play a certain defense, right? And they can bring their linebackers up. Maybe they can. I just think it's going to be a blowout. I think Pittsburgh's going to score between 3 and 13 points, maybe, and Houston easily gets into the mid-20s. So I'm looking at like a 24-10 type of game.
It's my bold prediction for this game. Aaron Rodgers doesn't finish it. Houston just beats the heck out of him and he knocks him out of the game. And by the way, it knocks him out of the NFL, I think, in that case. I think he's done.
Yeah, I think if he goes one and done in the playoffs and Pittsburgh continues there. By the way, Pittsburgh's been one and done in the playoffs the last 5 or 6 times that they've made the playoffs. which has been over the course of about I think they missed the playoffs 1 or 2 years in the last 7 years or 8 years. And then all the other years they did make the playoffs, the other 5 or 6 years, one and done. They haven't won a playoff game in over 10 years, I think.
So you just what I was going. That was the last point I was going to make. We signed off. Tomlin, for as much as he hasn't had a losing season, has not won in the playoffs in forever. To your point, that might have been his downfall at the end of the day. That if he lost that game last week, they're like, well, he doesn't win the playoffs anyway, so let's just get rid of him, right? So that could have been the reason to get rid of him.
Yeah, yeah, and if they lose, if they do go one and done, does that put him on the hot seat?
You imagine if he gets fired for losing one and done, and Harbaugh gets that job. What an irony that would be.
That would be crazy. And Tomlin comes to Miami.
Oh, man. All right. We left you with something to think about, fans. Nice one, PB. All right. All right. Let's go play off Palooza. Have a good weekend.
All right. You too, man.